I really felt like part of me was dying inside of me. And then on the other hand, like the other part was really relieved because, as I said, the last couple of years with the knee was already really difficult. It was a really weird feeling for a long time to be in my body. I think like feeling in a way that part of me was dying was the identity that I felt like was just taken out of me. And this took a long time to understand the way I just explained. Like I think it can always be part of me, but it cannot be like the biggest part of me as it used to be.
What happens when your identity, your passion, and your career are taken away by an injury? Today, I talked to someone who's lived it and is now writing the next successful chapter of her life. Rosa Koskelo has been a professional volleyball player for over 16 years. Playing in Finland, Slovenia, and Germany, she won numerous trophies, traveled a lot of kilometers, and made herself a Stuttgart volleyball legend of which people will think about. We talked about Rosa's journey in volleyball, her career-ending injury, and her transition to the new life. And Rosa will share lots of insights into volleyball, learnings for all people, whether athlete or not, and what she was surprised of herself in the last year. Enjoy this episode. That's Ganz Entspannt, der entspannte Podcast. Today, I welcome an absolute legend of Women Pro Volleyball of my podcast. I say hello to Rosa Koskelo. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Rosa, I'm really excited to have you on my podcast. And I feel it's like a really big honor since you're the first pro sports woman, or maybe former in your case, to be my guest. So thank you very, very much for coming.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited, actually.
So I talked to you in the when we talked before recording. So English is not really my first language, but you are way used to speak more English than me. So maybe I have to find some words. So and then we take some time. But we got time, right?
Yeah, we got nothing but time.
Yes, that's cool. So for our listeners who might be not that into pro women volleyball, I want to give you a short bio from Rosa. Just correct me if I got something wrong or missed something entirely. We talked about it. So I missed something very much in advance. So you've been playing professional volleyball for 16 years as libero?
Yeah, I think it's been so many years that
Yeah.
I honestly have lost the count, but 60 sounds about right.
Yeah, so a long time.
Yeah.
And you've got some trophies in your wardrobe. I think you're 2 times Finnish champion in 14 and 15. And I hope I just pronounced the Finnish names right. So it's LP Viesti Salo.
Mm-hmm.
You're 3 times Finnish Cup winner in 12, 13, 15 with LP Kangasala.
Yeah, with them I won the first one, and
Yeah.
then the other two were with Albe Viesti.
Viesti. Then you moved to Slovenia. You were then 2 times Slovenian champion, cup winner in 17, 18. It's with OK Nova, KBM Branik Maribor.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think it's the longest period with Allianz MTV Stuttgart. You've been playing there from 2018 to 2025.
Yeah.
And been the most successful one, right? You were 4 times German champion, 19, then 2022, 23, and 24. So 3 consecutive titles.
Yeah.
You were 2-time cup winner, German cup winner. And 2022, I was there. I really was there in Wiesbaden. I know that because your match, I think, was postponed because of Dresden having some issues with the COVID regime, I think.
Yeah.
And then 24. And you were 1-time Women CEV Cup silver medal winner. 2022 is the second cup behind the Champions League.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. And you were surprised by that. I told you had the honor of being awarded the title of Best Libera in 2022 in Germany. You didn't know that, right?
Yeah, I'm not the best in like following those things. So yeah, but it's really possible. I have no idea, but I'll take that.
So congratulations. Maybe we can part a little bit. So cheers, Rosa, for your title as Best Libera in 2022.
Thank you.
It has been a really impressive career. in volleyball, I can say. So let's talk about your journey to professional volleyball. So when did you first really fall in love with volleyball, and why? So what's was this spark
Hmm.
which ignited?
My whole family was playing volleyball except my mom. I grew up with three older brothers, and they all were playing volleyball, so I kind of just like grew into it in a
Mhm.
way. Yeah, still back in the days when I was kid, there were no phones or stuff like the kids have these days, so I was just playing outside every day. And yeah, a lot of people have told me that whenever they saw me, they saw volleyball with me, like since I learned to walk basically. So
Cool.
I guess I like grew into it, and then I don't know, it just felt right from the beginning on for me, and I just enjoyed doing it even like hours and hours by myself in our yard at home. And like, I don't know, it just felt like my thing.
How does the sport system then work in Finland? So did you start your career then in the club, or was it in school, and then you grew up to be, hey, I want to play professionally?
So I started in a team. Of course, we also have volleyball in the schools, but it's just like any other sports that we do at the PE classes. So I started with a team, and then I struggled a little bit because I'm from a really small city. So like to find a team, find enough people to have a team. So then I went to another city. So from a very young age, I traveled a lot because of volleyball. My dad was always driving me everywhere, like many times a week, and going to the tournaments with me and everything. So yeah, that's basically how it started. Just starting with the team, and then growing older and older and older. At some point came the option to go to like a sports high school
Hmm.
in another city, but I felt like I wasn't ready to leave when I was that young. So I found another solution that I could still live at my parents, but still like practice in the mornings, which was then in the high school. So in the mornings I practiced there, and in the evenings with the team, so I could kind of combine both.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, basically since I'm 16, 17 more or less, I already played like professionally. Just try to do my high school at the same time
Yeah.
and finish it well, and then I already went up to the first league.
Which significance does volleyball have in Finland? Because when I hear Finland and just thinking about maybe cross skiing, just
Yeah.
some winter sports
Winter.
because it's dark in winter.
It's
So,
dark and it's
and do you
cold
have
and
to travel a lot then in Finland to play like professionally, or is it just really near together in some bigger cities?
Also, the system has changed quite a bit since I was there. Now there are more places, for example, for the high school. Like it's not just one city where they do it. Like it's multiple places, which I think makes it easier for the talented players to join. So they don't need to be that far from home, and like there are multiple options.
Hmm.
But back then it was just one place, and then the clubs are of course all over Finland. I mean, mainly in this like southern part,
Hmm.
because up it's just forest and
Yeah.
rangers. So, but still, you have to travel quite a lot actually, especially already in the not like first league, but like first division that is under the first league. It's already like a national competition, so you might have to go up in the north to play one game, and then again like back home. And so it's a lot of traveling already from young age.
So do you go by car then, or do you fly plane in Finland? I really
No.
don't know it.
So of course when you're a junior you go, the parents are driving, like you just
Yeah.
try to carpool as much as you can. But we mostly went by bus, sometimes up to the north flying, sometimes taking the night train, which was actually the best option because there you have beds and everything, you can sleep. And of course, teams also try to combine, like let's say they go up to Lapland to play on a Saturday, and then they come halfway back to play on Sunday another game, and then come back home just to also like save money a little bit. But yeah, we went usually by bus, and sometimes with the luxury of flying or taking the train.
So it's not really that different to like pro sports in Germany, right? You were kind of a lot of traveling, did a lot of traveling to the north because a lot of the pro women volleyball teams in Germany are situated in the north, I think.
Yeah, yeah. I felt like I spent half of my life in the bus, the floor of the bus, especially now playing Bundesliga. Yeah, but it's a lot of traveling, and here we didn't go to so many places by plane, mainly just like in the playoffs. Of
Mm.
course, Champions League is different when you go out of Germany, but um, yeah, most of the places you go by bus, and you go the day before, and then you play, and then you come back through the night, and you arrive home in the morning. That was my life for 7 years here.
It's really, I have a big respect for that, because there has to be a lot of passion to do that for about now 16 years and more, because you did it as a like a teen too. Um, so there was not this moment when you thought, okay, I want to do that professionally. You kind of grew into it. So it's would be the best choice. It would feel that the best choice is to play professionally, right?
Yeah, for me, it kind of like what I wanted from volleyball, it kind of kept growing the whole time. Like the older I got, I was like, okay, I want to play in the first league in Finland. And then I got there, and then I was like, oh, I want to play in the national team. And then I made it to the national team. And then I tore my ACL when I was 21. And this was kind of the moment for me, like that I decided like I want to put all in to see where I can go, where I can get. And if it doesn't work out, I just come back and I study and I build my life in Finland. So that was maybe like the point for me to really be like, okay, I want to go out of Finland. And if it doesn't work, then I'm just done playing.
Yeah. So during this career, now you really got go. I'm in for that after the ACL. I just want to see how far I come. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced on your way to playing for teams like as Stuttgart or in Slovenia? So was it the culture? Was it moving to another country? Was it the language? Of course, to German is my maybe after Finnish the most difficult language.
Yeah.
So, what would you say was your biggest challenge, or maybe biggest challenges in this time?
So after getting over the ACL and the rehab of ACL, of course, the biggest challenge was to get out of Finland because the league is not that high level. The games are not streamed, nobody sees you playing really anywhere. So it's really difficult to make a difference. Like it's really difficult to make yourself seen. So that was like for me the most difficult part was just to get somewhere in the middle Europe to show myself and to show myself to more people who decide for things and for this Slovenia was actually good. I
Mhm.
got to play a lot of international games and then with a lot of yeah, a lot of how should I say, also a lot of luck, I would say. I ended up in Stuttgart because of the coach we had back then, the Greek one, Yanis. His wife was from the city where I played in Slovenia,
Mm.
and he had seen me live many times, and that's how he could come to me and knew me already from there. And so you always need luck, and you need to be in the right place at the right time for things to work out. But of course, also in my position as a libero, like there are so limited spots for us. Like it's difficult to get into the good leagues because
Mhm.
they will always put the money in other positions or like liberals are the last ones that teams usually think about. Okay, now it has also changed
Mhm.
quite a bit from like 10 years ago. So the role has grown bigger and more important. But yeah, I think those were like the biggest challenges and till the end actually the role was the biggest challenge because it's really difficult to find a good place, and especially like thinking about going to Italy or Turkey that are better than German Bundesliga, like it's just simply not possible because they have limitations how many foreigners you can have
Mm.
in the team, and they will never take liberals. So
Okay.
so this for sure is a big challenge, but this so far actually Germany don't have any limitation for foreigners. So in that way,
Okay.
I was also lucky.
Now I have two questions in my mind. I
Hmm.
have to choose which which one I start. Um, you say it's hard to get out of Finland, um, because you're not really seen there without much TV time. How did you, so is there the contact to Maribor then? How does you get scouted for then your first moving to another country?
Yeah, so I was waiting really long actually to find a contract. I was still until the end of October without a contract, so already the season started, and I was kind of just counting on someone getting injured somewhere or something happening that would be a place for me opening up. Um, but yeah, basically it was just there were not many liberals in the markets at that time anymore. It was getting late already, and then they saw some of my videos and they asked me to go there for 1 week just to try out and see how things are. And after 2 days, they already told me that they would want to keep me for the rest of the season. So, but yeah, sometimes it comes just directly. Like for example, when I got to Stuttgart, Yanis called me and was like, "I don't want the tryout. I know you. We want the contract." Versus then like to Slovenia, they didn't know me so well, and then you have just like 2 to 3 days to kind of like prove yourself. So yeah, it really depends on the situation.
But you got it. You made it.
I got, I made it. I
You made
made
it.
it. Luckily.
Mm, and I had in mind when you talk about the position of libero. For me, I just played volleyball in university. Kind of bad. It was really bad, and just really suck into volleyball. And you said the position, or the not saying the worthiness, but no, the importance of that position changed over time.
Mhm.
So I know you as a team captain, and I always saw the libero as a really like the key position in the squad. But how did it change then? So what's then today? So what's the today's importance of this position?
I mean, it really depends on the individual as well. Like, there are a lot of liberals who are not that loud but can still lead the team really well, or like it really depends on the personality as well. But in my opinion, the most important skills are like being able to lead the players around you, giving energy. I was known to be someone who always brings a lot of energy. It's also important to have like a pretty strong mental side, because you can play the best game of your life and your team will still not win. It doesn't matter. Or if you play bad, the team can lose because of you.
No.
And this is like not the same in every position. So in this way, like I think it's important to be mentally really strong. Of course, there are some physical aspects as well. Like it's of course an advantage if you are fast or like stuff like this. So of course, like the volleyball things are important. You need to be good in passing. You need to be good in defense. Now also it's growing bigger and bigger that liberos are really good at setting as well, because yeah, when the setter is out, libero usually becomes the next one who sets the ball. So of course the volleyball things are easy to name that are important, but I think leading the team and yeah, just being mentally strong.
Yeah. Yeah. Was my thoughts too, because when I saw you playing, and it was not that often, unfortunately.
Yeah,
I
we
saw
run
you in
into
that, and all your pictures on social media is just like you seem like the emotional leader, so always just really be cheering and strong and just motivating. And it's I think it's a really key to success.
yeah, yeah, and maybe also like what I always thought is important to also like bring confidence to the people around you.
Yeah.
Like it's important if there is someone that they can always rely on and somebody who will always like be there for them and give some confidence when all of us have bad days. Like things like this are really important and they go a long way.
So for those who don't know much about protocol, we talked about moving from Finland, getting scouted, talked about libero, talked about your journey into volleyball. But maybe take us into a typical day for those. What does a typical day look like for an athlete at the level? We talked about a lot of traveling in the bus, of course, and to the north and to like big cities or not so big cities. So what does a typical day look like?
Of course, this also depends a lot on the who's the coach, how much you're playing, twice a week, once a week. Also, my last year was looking really different already because I couldn't practice twice a day with my knee anymore, and there was a lot of adjustments. But yeah, if I would have to describe like a normal day, in the morning as a libero, as a receiver, you usually do like 45 minutes, 1 hour of ball practice, just like a little bit touching the ball. It's usually just the receivers. And then you go directly over to the gym to lift some weights for
Hmm.
like an hour, hour and a half. Then you go home, you eat lunch, you rest a little bit. Then usually there's a video session before the afternoon practice to watch like whatever is coming up, or maybe the game before, what was good, what was not good. Then 2 hours, 3 hours, depends on the coach, the practice with the full team, like a team practice.
Hmm.
And then usually for me, physio or like some kind of things, taking care of my body,
Yeah.
going home, eating dinner, going to bed. That was pretty much it.
Did you have training like every day? Did you have rest days? So maybe sometimes you just played maybe 2 games a week, I think.
Hmm.
Um, but how does it depend on like the typical season week or week
Yeah, of
within the
course.
season?
Here, for example, we always, before the games, we practice just once, like the day before. So then you had a bit more time to like rest and focus for the next day. Let's say there's a game on Wednesday. Usually Thursdays can be sometimes fully off, but most of the time some kind of like regeneration practice, watching video or stuff like this. Then another game maybe Saturday. Usually Sundays were off. Those were the days that mostly I was fully off. But of course, if you come from Schwerin at 7:30 in the morning after 11 hours in the bus, it's like it doesn't really matter if you have one day off or 5 days off. You're gonna feel like
Yeah.
really bad anyway. So yeah, but Sundays were usually off. That's how the rhythm
Yeah.
was here.
At least.
Yeah, at least that.
So I would say, um, I mean, it was a long career, and I could imagine you getting used to the rhythm within the season. So yeah, okay, preparation differs from like the within season training and schedule. But I remember when we met at your jersey retirement on the 18th of October. So your career ended then in April. Was was the last game in the playoffs. And I remember that you said to me, or to us, to Micah and to me, so it feels kind of weird because normally when I got to the Sharena, I had a different maybe entrance, different pathway to where I go. And you were kind of not lost, but confused. Where do I go? What do I do? It's kind of a big change in it, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was completely lost. We got into the arena, and I was like, actually, I don't know how to get to the stands where people are sitting. I never went there. I just directly walked into the locker room, and I was like, which door do I need to go into? I was completely lost, and it just felt weird. I don't know, like just yeah, really strange.
Yeah. So I think we just the first time we met was in March, I think February, March, and we talked about your like injury of which you had to end your career. And maybe can you take us back to the moment you realized your career was over? So what went through your mind? I mean, you just struggled a long time with your knee. I think it was just sort of like continuously like going to the doctor, having some like MRI or images. And I think it was every year maybe the decision. So have I got another year, or do I have to give up my career? Um, what can you back us to the moment when you say, okay, this I have to, I really have to. I cannot longer do it.
Yeah. So it was kind of like a long process, as you just described. Like for me, it was clear that there is not much more left than like a year or max two. Um, But of course, I I've been so long in volleyball that for me, like it was difficult to make the decision myself. The only thing that I was feeling was like I cannot um I I can still perform on the level that I want to and I want to be, but I also understand that it could not keep going like this forever, you know?
Mm,
Like if I cannot practice that much anymore and it just takes like hours of my day to be able to practice even once a day, like there will come a day that I'm not on the level that I used to be, and then the risk also was getting just higher and higher that something happens one day and I felt like I'm not in the point of my career anymore that I would do, let's say, 1 year of rehab and trying to come back to the
mm,
court or something. But yeah, of course, I went to the doctors with my knee to multiple MRIs, and the last one I asked was in January this year. And then I went to the doctor, and it was just clear after that. It's like he told me straight up, like the risks are getting too high, and also like there's nothing actually that could be done for the actual problem that is there, and the only thing that can happen is just I make everything else around it worse.
okay.
And yeah, it was from after that doctor appointment in the end of January. For me, it was like really clear, and in a way, like I'm happy that he was so honest with me, and he told me the reality is this, and I don't recommend you going further than this season anymore. So in the end, like I was happy that someone kind of made the decision for
Yeah.
me in a way.
Yeah. I can imagine because like you have like a family in volleyball with your team. I think it's maybe I could imagine it's like losing a long time partner and doing the decision to split up. So after
Yeah.
15 years, it's really so. If you're really easy to do this decision, maybe you should have overthink the last 15 years. But I could think that that's really hard. So mm, I could imagine you're in the process, still in the process of maybe just yeah, it's kind of grieving of maybe just not struggling, but looking how to deal with the new life after like this long time career. But would you say in a talk with Mike about the identity last week and in the episode, and would you say it is now a big part of this process that you have to maybe refine or rewrite your identity?
Yeah, like I think this is one of the biggest things that comes with retiring from pro sports. Like no matter how you try to put it, like of course our identity is always really tied into the sport. Like some of us handle it better, some of us worse, but that's just the truth. Like it's such a big part of everyone's identity. Um, in a way, I've been trying to approach it in a way that I don't need to fully give up the identity of what I was as a volleyball player because it was such a huge part of my life. Like I don't need to fully get rid of that.
Yeah,
That a part of it will always be part of me as well. But maybe just more like adding something to that identity, like another part or something like this. At least for me, it makes it easier to think about it instead of just like keeping myself busy trying to, I don't know, build a new identity out of nowhere. And yeah, I think there's a lot I can take from the identity I build in volleyball and just adding new things to it and kind of like in the process on the way to whatever I will become, like just on the way, maybe just let out the things that I don't need anymore, let's
yeah.
say.
Do you think it is important to get some distance between you and your sport after this process of career ending to discover which other parts of identity are in you?
Of course, I can only talk about my own experience, but for me, has been important just to fully distance myself and also, yeah, because in a way, it was my decision to stop, but as I just said, was also coming from outside the clear sign. So I felt like it wasn't fully in my hands, and that made it maybe a little bit harder in a way, harder and easier. I don't know, both at the same time,
Yeah.
which is also a bit mixed. But for me, it was important to get some distance and like just fully be out of everything and do everything else but volleyball and think about everything else and just like free my mind. And now after half a year, slowly I'm getting this little feeling like, oh, but I could actually do so much around volleyball. Like I could share a lot. I could, I don't know, help a lot. I don't know in which ways, but now I can feel like it's slowly coming back.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's the first
we
time
will
I hear
see.
that.
Yeah, yeah, it's yeah, I've been doing a lot of reflection lately, and yeah, I can just feel like my thoughts are slowly shifting a little bit also there, like what could it be, what could I do? But yeah, it can also just be that I'm still so lost with the process that it's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. Yeah, we will see.
It has been only 6.5 months, so it's
Yeah.
kind of fresh. So I think you're making good progress in this.
Yeah, yeah, at least I'm trying like to give myself also the time, but of course, it was a long process already to the point of retiring, and then when it finally happened, I felt like then the process could actually fully just start. Like, and no matter how I tried to prepare for it, it's when it
Yeah.
happens, it happens. Then the reality actually hits you. So, yeah.
What has been the hardest part about stepping away from the court? So was it, I would say, the fear of what comes after, or was it really giving up this like passion to play with your team colleagues, to be preparing for a game, for a new season? What was the hardest part?
Um, I think about the retirement itself. The hardest part. I don't want to sound too dramatic, but kind of like feeling like losing a part of myself in a
Mm,
way that like I really felt like part of me was dying inside of me.
okay.
And then on the other hand, like the other part was really relieved because as I said, the last couple of years with the knee was already really difficult. So it was a really weird feeling for a long time to be in my body. Um, so I think like feeling in a way that part of me was dying was the identity that I felt like was just taken out of me. And this took a long time to understand the way I just explained. Like I think it can always be part of me, but it cannot be like the biggest part of me as it used to be. But then, of course, after a couple of months, the hardest part, or let's say the scariest part, is like that you need to start from zero again.
Mm,
You build, 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 build. You get somewhere, and then you retire, and you go back to the beginning. So it's kind of like finding your way there. Like, who am I? Where am I good at? Like there's a lot of this uncertain feeling, at least for me, because in volleyball, I always felt like even if everything else around was a mess, I could, I go to practice and I'm like, oh, I got this. I know what I'm doing. I'm good at this. I'm confident, like, and now I don't have this feeling. Anywhere I go, I don't feel the same.
yeah. Yeah.
Um, so of course I still have like my people around me that are there for me, whether I play volleyball or not. So this already helps a lot. But of course, when you're so, let's say, like work orientated for your entire life, then when you kind of fall into the gap of like not really knowing what to do and being like a rookie again, like having to ask every question from the people who you work with or like
Yeah.
with volleyball, I never had of course I discussed with my teammates and my coaches, but like I understood the sport, so I could find my way around it and I could learn. But now I really need to like start from zero, and this feels scary at times.
Yeah. Can imagine that. So if you're really a pro in some part and you really feel like, I have to ask about this. How does this function? How does
Yeah,
that work? So could be really annoying at times, I think.
yeah, yeah. And then it's annoying because that's just how it is, you know.
Yeah.
And it's every time I need to do something like that, I'm just like, I wish I don't know, I would already be 5 years ahead and not having to, go through this. But of course, I also, on the other hand, understand this is something that I need to go through.
Yeah. And I can imagine that if you're going through this period, I think after that, you just can start new challenges for yourself more easily. So I just, um, who was it, 2 or 3 years ago? I think it was Sam Sinek. It was this guy who wrote the book Find Your Why and so on. And he just told a story about a woman who, I think in America, who every 7 years just quit a job and learned something completely new in another field. Just because to keep this thing of progressing running. So, and I think it's kind of challenging because after 7 years in your job, in your field, in your company, you just really get used to things. And
Yeah,
sometimes there's not much to learn anything. So
yeah, yeah, yeah. In a way, it actually makes sense.
maybe
Um,
you develop a new superpower, Rosa.
yeah, I hope so.
How would you say, or how important it is to have like a support group or group of family members, friends outside the sport? So who maybe can support you after your career?
Of course, it's important. I think for me, the challenge has been that I've been gone from, let's say, my childhood friends for forever. So, of course, it's clear that most of my friends are from volleyball because I played my entire life, and now the challenge kind of is that everyone is all over the world.
Yeah,
Like, some are still playing, some have retired as well, but like, I do think it's important, and this is also one big thing that affected me staying in Stuttgart, is because I was here for so long, and I already have like friends, and I have a group of people that I fully trust, and I know that whatever it is in these next months and years to come that I need support with, I know that they are always there. And for me, it's also important that they've been there through I still played and through this process. And yeah, I think it is really, really important to have people there for you. Of course, um, like, I also really think that it's important to have people who have been through the same. Like, for example, people who I played with have also stayed here in Stuttgart to work and so on, and they've been through the same. So I also think like this can be important, that you can, even though we all experience it really in our own way, but still, like, it's important that there are people who have been through the same, because I believe they are the only ones who can little bit like
yeah.
understand what I'm going through.
So cheers to your friends, I think, to your friends and family.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing also, like, even though my family has been in Finland the whole time,
Yeah.
and I think they're so used to me being gone all the time, but still, like, I always knew, like, if there's something, I can always call them, and they always came here to support. And for them, I think it's also not so easy actually that I'm not playing anymore. I think for
Mm.
them it's also weird. Like, yeah, my brother said it in the summer, like, I don't know, it just feels weird that, I don't know, you always played and now you don't anymore. It's just weird.
Yeah.
And I think also for them it's strange in a way, and it's new, and maybe they are also like trying to find their way to be there to support. But as I said, they've always been there for me, and they've always supported no matter what.
That's important. That's cool.
Yeah.
So your whole, or maybe a great part of your life was volleyball. So it was the major part of your life. Um, and I can imagine that there were some lessons maybe you learned from volleyball or like professional sport in general. Um, what would that one lesson or maybe two lessons would be, so that you think everyone, maybe athlete or not, could benefit from when you're looking back to your career?
Of course, there are a lot of our lessons, and we all experience things differently. But um, I think one of the best things I learned was how to work in a group, how to handle people coming from different cultures, from different backgrounds, from speaking different language. Like just this, like when you go somewhere as a group, you all go to the same goal, no matter what. One comes from left, one comes from right, and one has a different way to do it, but we all are going to the same direction, and that's all that matters. I think this is one big thing, like for companies, for example, like
Hmm.
there will always be different kind of people, but it's always just important, like that everyone is going to the same direction. Doesn't really matter the background. This for sure, I think is a big thing. Also, just in general, the work ethic. Like, um, of course, I also don't want to fully support the idea of if you really feel bad, you still need to go and show up and show that you're tough. And I'm also not supporting that kind of behavior. But as an athlete, to be honest, most of the days you don't feel good, and
Yeah.
you just still need to go and do your job and go home. And you need to do your job as good as you can. Like it's some days it looks different than the others, but at least every day you give 100% of what you have that day. So I think this is just the work ethic. You just go, you get it done, and that's it. This I think would be important also in the sports world, uh, like outside of sports world.
Yeah, but it's important lesson, I think.
Yeah,
So just showing up, doing your best. You cannot do much more. You can
yeah,
always give your best,
yeah.
the 100%.
Exactly. Nobody can ask you more than that.
And I think the first part just was now when you're discussing with a team. So this player has this idea, this player has this idea, all have the same goal. And often companies, it's so that one person just like gives the direction. But a team is so strong when everyone is listening to each other and say, hey, this approach could be successful, this approach could be successful. Maybe I just in my former team I was that, and my former company was that. I think that's what people should do more.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this also, of course, depends on the team. But what was a really big strength always in my time in playing in Stuttgart was like the feedback culture as well. Like,
Hmm.
of course, there were always players who were more experienced or whatever, but like still everybody could give feedback to each other, and it was nothing personal. It was just for like making things better. And I think this might be sometimes a difficult mindset outside of
Hmm.
sports world. Like if you get feedback, it's just actually for the better. It's not to like criticize somebody. I think the feedback culture could also be something to take from sports.
Yeah, yeah. So negative feedback, so it's positive feedback and negative feedback. So you didn't take negative feedback personally, and
Yeah,
a lot of people are like that in company culture. Said
yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. I
Please.
mean, this also exists in sports, but as I said, that was a really big strength that we
Yeah.
always had. For example, in Stuttgart.
I mean, you won the German championship quite a lot of times. So you, your team, you and your team, yeah, we're really good in that, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, we talked about the showing up, so the work attitude, work ethic. Mm, how would you describe has your experience as a professional athlete shaped how you approach challenges now? I think is it the work ethic? Is it just showing up and doing your best, or is there another like experience which you benefit now from?
I think the work ethic is just like, yeah, it's part of me. That's how I grew up. I think this is from sports. Like if there's something that needs to be done, it will get done,
Yeah,
and that's it. Like this for sure is one thing. Um, I think also just challenges in general. Like I'm not afraid of them. Like I just take them as they come. This is what I did my whole life. Um, and at least I try my best. And if it's not enough, then it's not enough. If I if I fail, then I fail. It's just part of the process, And I'm trying not to think too much about like the challenges, or like of course you need to prepare yourself if there's something big coming up at work, or for example, but most of the time I just try to take it as it comes, kind of like how I live
Yeah.
my life, one game at a time, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you do your best. It goes as it goes, and the next one comes. And it's the same with life in general.
But it's a healthy attitude, I think. Because a lot of,
Yeah,
or
it took some years for me to learn. When I
yeah,
was younger, I don't know. I was never somebody who was like super nervous about some big games or something. But if my team lost the game, it was like the end of the world. You know, I was like, I don't know. I took it so deep, and yeah. But then the last 5, 6 years, I was like, I do my best. I try to help my teammates. I try to give everything for the club, and then we see how it goes. You
yeah.
know. And at the end of the day, if you fly to China and you tell somebody, "Hey, we lost 3-2," and they have no idea, you know.
Who?
There's so many
Who?
people. Exactly. They're like, some might even be like, "Oh, Germany. Where's Germany?" Like, you know, like, yeah, it's you have to. I learned the hard way, let's say, to see the bigger picture and like just maybe help me also all of these years to go through and to handle the pressure of the games and everything.
Yeah, everything different would be a quite a emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
So big win is a big win. Hey, one of the best of the world. Like losing a game is like, oh, I'm just so bad.
Yeah, yeah, and with the schedule of the playing, there's not really a lot of time to be neither of those kind of.
Yeah, but that's a cool experience you described.
Yeah.
Should maybe I can learn from that. Just
You let me know then how it was. I will ask you 1 year from now.
yeah. So if you're a little bit into like this perfect behavior or don't want to like strive for the perfect behavior, all has to be perfect, and when it's not perfect, then don't do it. That's kind of really like toxic because you never get this 100%. You never get the really perfect result of anything.
Yeah, and then it's also like in sports, there are a lot of things that are not in your control fully. Like you can control what you are doing, but there's still a lot that you cannot control. And yeah, I like I said, I learned the hard way. I
Yeah.
also tried to do everything perfect, and yeah, it took years of constantly like learning out of it.
So now in your new career, you can use that like chilling, relaxing attitude, but relaxing, but professional attitude. So
Yeah.
looking forward, what excites you most about this really big next chapter of your life?
Um, what excites me is kind of the same thing that scares me.
Hmm. That's
It's like
interesting.
that everything is so open. You know, the whole
Hmm.
world is open. I can start over whatever I want to, or like it just there's so wide range of things that I can do and I can start with. So this scares me, but it also excites me that it's so open. Also, one thing that for sure excites me is the freedom. Is the every Saturday and Sunday being free, not having to travel all the time. Like, of course, these kind of things also excite me. It's completely new. I can go home for Christmas for 3 weeks,
Yeah.
doing partly home office, partly vacation. I was never there in the last 10 years for longer than 2 days. So of course, like these kind of like personal life things also excite me, and I also like still getting used to enjoying it because it just still feels weird every weekend to wake up and be like, oh, I can decide what I want to do.
Yeah. Oh, ooh, cool.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, and it keeps happening every week. It's not a one-time thing, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, working wise, for sure, it's like everything is so open. There's endless opportunities, and for sure, I'm like excited to see where this journey takes me.
Now, when I just um, thought about what to talk about, and then it was this chapter of what's next for Rosa, and I had this question in mind: could you say, could so you see yourself connected to volleyball again? And you already answered that question because you're kind of thinking about, in which way maybe. I can get into volleyball again in the future, maybe coaching or mentoring, but it's definitely like a thing for you, right? Because you have this experience and you can give it to professional women, men, the youth. I think that's like this vast knowledge of volleyball.
Yeah, as I said in the beginning, I really needed my distance. I was like, I want to be out of everything. I don't want to watch volleyball. I don't want to like have anything to do with it. But now slowly it's coming. I don't really see myself coaching.
Hmm.
It's just not really my thing. Like maybe once in a while could do something or help out or something, but to fully go into like coaching, I don't really see that. Um, but yeah, that's also where it's like endless opportunities kind of. It just depends on which one I would be willing to try, or I don't know, maybe some kind of like mentoring or consulting or something. I don't know, helping the young players. Like yeah, I really cannot say much more than that because it's
Yeah.
still pretty fresh that it came to my mind. But I would somehow like to be around, maybe not like fully working in volleyball, but just like partly doing something, helping, and feeling like I can pass the knowledge that I gained over my years in volleyball.
So first now into swimming, I think.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I wish I was as into swimming as I was to volleyball. It would make my life now a lot easier to work in this company, but um, yeah.
Yeah. So for listeners who may maybe not know that story, that you work for and with Micah, who was
Yeah.
my guest last week in the episode, and in her swimming school, Swim and Move. So and now you're just so what are you doing now, also?
Oh, I'm doing everything. Um, that's actually the cool part also. I get to do a lot of different things, trying to find maybe the area that would be more for me. But yeah, just a lot of like office things, social media, posting, that kind of things, planning events now on the background a lot. Um, yeah, I'm not so much in the pool actually.
Yeah.
I'm not that needed, luckily. But yeah, also sometimes they're making sure things are organized and running well, and a lot of different things, I would say.
But it's cool. It's interesting, right? Because it's not
Yeah,
boring. It's not
it's
boring.
interesting. Yeah, every day is different. I really like what I'm doing. I really like Maike. She's really amazing. Amazing to work with. Whenever she's in the office, we also like we work, but we also have really good time together. Like
Cool.
she's really helpful. Like she also really understands where I'm coming from. Like I don't have that many years of experience of work or whatever, but she really took me from day one, like fully on her side, and I'm really happy for that.
And we have that on record. So if you want to have like more money, I can just save this part and send it to Micah.
Yes, you can do like Merry Christmas, Micah.
So before we come to maybe the last question, which goes a little bit away from like volleyball itself, you talked about maybe giving your advice to younger athletes. So if you could now give one piece of advice to young athletes, what would it be? So if any young athlete now hears the podcast in minute 52 and
Oh.
30 seconds, what would be this advice?
Oh, I think first I would tell them to take care of their bodies because that's something I always did, and I believe that's why I played as long as I did
Yeah.
because I somehow learned from a very young age how important it is. Um, but maybe like the actual advice, I would just tell them to enjoy. Like sometimes when you're in the situation and especially like you're emotionally in it, it might feel like it's a lot or like it's this roller coaster, what you mentioned. But like then one day you look back at it and it's just like the greatest time of your life. You know, you even the hard times you will laugh at, you know, like it's at that moment it feels it's hard, but yeah, actually it's not that difficult. It's not that hard. Um, I always, of course, enjoyed playing. Like I said, it just felt right for me from the beginning on. But I did feel a different kind of enjoyment the last couple of years when I fully understood like it's coming to an end. And
Mhm.
there's like I have like clear memories of like some games or some moments or some long travels or like I just felt them differently. I don't think I enjoyed playing much more because I always enjoyed playing, but just like it was a different feeling of understanding like there's not that many games left anymore.
Yeah.
And this I somehow wish I would have felt or took before. I don't know if it's possible. Maybe for me it was fully related to understanding the limits of my body, but somehow I just wish I would have felt this a little bit earlier. Maybe these young athletes could do.
So, two big nuggets. Take care of your body, of course,
Yeah.
and enjoy. Just enjoy
Yeah.
every game, because you never know. You never know maybe what injury or what like destiny is coming around.
Yeah. Exactly. And I think not thinking too negative about like you never know when it comes to an end or whatever, but taking it in a positive way, like
Yeah.
try to make the best out of it. And as I said, then one day you look back at it and actually even the bad times are just like funny now, you know? We were traveling to I don't even remember where. But we had to walk over the border when it was like negative 10 degrees and we are all there with our luggages 2 hours walking over the border because we couldn't fly to that country or whatever it was. I don't even remember. And there, like everybody was like complaining, you know, like, oh, we need to do this and it's so cold and I don't have hat, I don't have gloves. And now you look back at it and actually it's a really funny memory, you know?
So, is this your favorite volleyball memory, or, or is this is
I
there
actually
something
enjoyed it
different?
because it was cold and there was snow.
Yeah, you're from
Actually,
Finland. I think you're
yeah,
used to this.
I enjoyed that. Yeah, yeah. Ah, we went to Kaliningrad. Yeah, true. And we had to walk
Tallinn,
over the border.
Kaliningrad
Kaliningrad.
oder Stalingrad?
Yeah, exactly. That's a very valid question. So yeah, we had to walk over the border anyways because of COVID or whatever reasons, and yeah, but it was fun. Looking back at it, it was really fun.
So, but it's the perfect like transition to our lightning round, our light round. And there would be my question: what's your favorite volleyball memory? So, it was a really good transition. So maybe that's not your favorite volleyball memory. It's a funny story, but what would you say over the last 16 years? What's your favorite volleyball memory? What could be the years before that, before you got professional a player?
Why? It's impossible actually to name just one. Um, of course, there are a lot of
Yeah,
really cool moments like these when you think about like the professional time, like winning stuff or something like this. Um, but I would maybe say the the times that I had with my teammates, like
hmm,
couple times the team really matched good together, and then like looking back at those times is just like brings a smile on my face, you know, like just the feeling of the group. And then of course volleyball on the side was going well because the group was so good, you know. So I think maybe favorite memories would be like with some of those teams playing in a sold out arena is definitely one of my favorite volleyball memories. And then I have a really clear memory in my head that I don't know, 7 years old back at my parents' house playing by myself like 6 hours a day in the summer against the roof of our house, you know, like just these kind of things I somehow clearly remember. So
yeah,
it's really difficult to say just one, but
yeah,
at least those three are like all very different category.
yeah. But I think it's really cool to see. So after this long time, we have so much memories. But in the end, it comes back to people.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
not AI or social media. It's just the people.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And like I said, of course there are really good games and important games and cool wins in front of 12,000 people, or like, of course those are also nice, but at the end of the day you do it with the people and you do it for the people, like the fans
Yeah.
and everything. So like you said, at the end of the day it comes back to people, and that's the cool thing, because those people are still there. I don't play
Yeah.
anymore, but people are still in my life, and at the end of the day that's all that matters.
And I think the funny thing, it's not a funny thing, actually, it's interesting thing. I went to the Arena last Wednesday. It was this game against Dresden. Yeah. And it's it's really cool to see that you and Crystal Rivers um, are still in the mind of the people, of the spectators. So they
Mm.
say, hey, there's these two jerseys, there's two good legends. And it's so cool to see that after 7 or 8 years now, or the seasons, you're stuck in the people's minds. So every time you go into the arena, there will be like a reminder, hey, Rosa Koska, number one, this jersey will never be given away to any other player. So that's was really a cool experience for me then, after retirement, to be there and hear all the good things people talk about.
Yeah, and of course, like, I also always, or how I grew up is like to treat people the way I want to be treated. And that's why, like, even after the games, like, I was always running late to VIP and everything. Like, I was always the last one everywhere, but I tried to keep this little, even half a minute to people who were coming to me, because, yeah, it matters to them. Of course, it matters to me as well, but like, I just try to kind of like make an impact in a way, also outside of volleyball, and also like being something else than just the player. And it's been cool to see actually that this carries to this day, even though I'm not playing now for half a year anymore. And Crystal and I always talked about like leaving a mark when
Yeah,
we're here, and now we both agree that we really left a mark here, and
yeah,
that's a cool thing.
you really did that. And
Yeah.
good karma is coming back around. So hey, you deserved
Yeah.
it. You deserve it. You're still deserving it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So final question. Oh, final two questions. So I have two questions in my mind. If you could have dinner with any athlete, dead or alive, who would it be?
Uh, there's so many athletes for so many different reasons that I would want to have a dinner. Hmm. The first one that came to my mind is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
Um,
good choice.
I think it's just like cool what he could, like, he really also had an impact on the society.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so also for that, like his mindset and everything, for that reason, I would maybe pick him. On the other hand, I would want to pick Federer or Nadal. Also cool,
yeah,
like how can you be so good for so long? It's insane to think about. Um, Maybe Federer actually, because when he retired, it was also because of his knee, more or less. I
yeah.
watched the documentary. I cried many times watching it. Um, and when he retired, even his biggest rivals were crying.
Hmm.
So I think this says a lot about the person, like not
Yeah,
just the athlete, but the person. So yeah,
yeah.
I'd pick him. I take
But
him.
would be two good choices. Kobe Bryant
Yeah,
with the Mamba mentality and
yeah.
Federer. So yeah. And last question. And I'm just wondering which answer comes now. What's something you've learned about yourself in the past year that surprised you about yourself?
Um, I am actually surprised how mm, I I always like the way I lived my life was for volleyball, so everything was really thought through. Like everything what I did was to be good on the court. Even when I had 3 months off in the summer, like back home in Finland, like I worked out the whole time. Like I made sure that I'm good when I come back, and everything had purpose, kind of every single little thing during the day.
Yeah.
And now I'm really surprised how well I'm kind of giving up on that. Like I'm just finding the joy in the things because I like doing something, or I'm giving up the control that I had. I'm still like practicing that.
Yeah.
I would say like I'm far from being loose with things, but I'm surprised that I'm actually able to do that.
It's cool.
That has definitely surprised me in a positive way. Just
Yeah.
doing things for the joy of it, and not so much like for any special purpose, like how volleyball was always in my life.
It's something you have to learn, of course.
Yeah.
But you did it like in a fast way.
Yeah, I'm trying, like traveling here and there, of course, helps.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, of course, I still struggle, especially when it comes to sports. Like it's difficult for me to do that just for fun, just for
Yeah.
joy, Like when I went to the gym, I always had a goal, and now I'm a little bit like, why am I here? Why am I doing this for? Because I don't need to do that for volleyball anymore. And I never felt that when I was playing, that I'm here only because I have to.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning out of that when it comes to sports. Like it's fine to bike just 10 kilometers instead of 70. Like, but I have a tendency to go in the hard end.
And it's really interesting because I think it was this week when I just got the reel from Micah's episode with Micah out on Instagram. And she told the same. So after her career ended, I had to learn that it's okay to go swimming for about 3 kilometers, just totally madness for me, for us,
Yeah.
but instead of 8 kilometers.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same energy. It's like, why I don't have to do it, but I enjoyed the 3 kilometers instead of the 8, and enjoy going to the gym. I have not really goal, but I enjoy. It's like millennial therapy, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a weird feeling because I always enjoyed what I was doing. I
Yeah,
always enjoyed practicing and working out. And so I never had the feeling I have to. But now, I don't know. It's just weird, but it definitely takes some practice
yeah,
to get out of it, and also prioritize. Like if you had a long day at work or whatever, like it's fine. You can just go home and do nothing. It doesn't hurt anybody. Like, but it's difficult. Like it's always in the back of my head.
yeah.
Even if you don't feel good, you still need to show up, right?
That's
But
right. That's right.
yeah, but it's different. It doesn't apply to everything.
Rosa, thank you very much. And just now we talked about over an hour, and I had some big nuggets in it of wisdom. Of course, over your 16-year career, it was like how to deal with your career ending, to deal with your entry in a new life, and it's like kind of fast adaptation to some things because you have to. You have no
Yeah,
choice. Just
yeah.
showing up. We had a lot of like insights in volleyball and your journey. We had this learnings from volleyball, maybe people could use in their company, and yep, for young athletes. So thank you very much.
Thank you. It was really fun, actually. I hope maybe this was also helpful for some people who have been through the same or who are going through the same. And yeah, also all a big process for all of us, right?
Yeah, that's right. So feel free to follow Rosa on Instagram. I just setting a link in the show notes. And if you enjoyed the podcast today, you can also leave a comment or just follow the podcast. Would like would be good for me in the podcast. So yeah, well, thank you very much. I really look forward to meeting you again.
Thank
Maybe
you.
we can go to the Weihnachtsmarkt with Maike.
Yeah, there's a Finnish corner in Stuttgart. Um, Yeah, they have our version of blue wine, and there's like finally good salmon as well, because that's really difficult to find in Germany, good salmon. No, but there's fully Finnish corner in the center of Stuttgart. We definitely need to go.
We have to go there, of course. And maybe you can teach us 2 or 3 more words of Finnish.
Oh, yeah.
Just try and Google it to Alat's WhatsApp.
Yeah, I will.
I just forgot how to say it.
Finnish words. There are not many, but I can teach you all 3 of them.
Thank you very much, Rosa. Thank you for
you.
listening to the people who just joined in. And I would say that was ganz entspannt, and stay relaxed and healthy. Bye-bye.
Bye.